On today's episode of Watch Jericho, we are back in the warehouse after a very long, fun weekend. And we're gonna try to get this Corvette to start. I hope we get there. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Jericho, and like I said, we are here with my 2000 Corvette that I bought for just $3,500. And we've done a ton of work to this thing. It's got a bunch of brand new parts, and hopefully we can start it today. So obviously there's some parts we got to run and grab from O'Reilly's, the AC stuff, and the other sway bar and links for the front. Obviously we don't need those to start it, just the AC stuff, and that should let us pretty much wrap this thing up. We got to slide in the new radiator and a few other things, but first let's talk about Texas 2K. It was a blast. TX 2K22, what was supposed to be the very last one at Houston Raceway Park. I think everybody knows the story. The landowners own everything around it, and they bought the track years ago. Their lease is up, and they were going to bulldoze it by the end of the year. But that's not happening now. There's going to be one more of them at Houston Raceway Park, which is probably my favorite track in the country. I love going there. It's a great facility, and I'm going to miss it a lot. So you can bet I was there actually vacationing. I didn't have the camera or anything. You can follow what I did go see on Facebook and Instagram, stuff like that. But no actual videos from 2K because I was just there to enjoy the very last one. But on Saturday, Peter announced there will be one more year of it at Houston Raceway Park. So going back again. I did want to say one other thing about 2K. While we were down there, we started watching old YouTube videos of what 2K used to be like. And I'm sure you guys remember, as I remember, we started going there like 6 years ago. We've been going there for a very long time. And of course, when we started, we were going to race and we were competitive with the Huracan. It makes 1,250 horsepower. And now it won't even qualify for the most part in the lowest class in sport. And we got busy reminiscing about when 500 horsepower cars were cool and fun. And don't you guys miss those days? I mean, leave a comment down below if you miss the fun, cheap cars like this that were just super entertaining and you didn't have to run 8s to be cool, or honestly, you have to run 6s to be cool now. But everything is so fast and so outrageous, and everybody was going so fast. There were just non-stop wrecks this year. Every year, that place moves up 10, 15%. And this year, like, everybody was going 200, and there were a lot of issues because of that. I mean, it's 1,500 feet. And there were people hitting the sand trap, people hitting the walls. I think a lot of it comes down to experience. You don't have a lot of places to practice running 200 unless you rent out your home track. Hopefully it's super long, and then you've got time to learn the braking in that short of a distance. I mean, 1,500 foot is very hard, and there are dudes, like many of them, running into the 230s. I think 230 was like the edge this year, but whew, those cars are fast. And that's really what it takes to have a fun, cool car now. But I miss these days. Stuff was cheap. All you had to do was throw heads and cam on any old LS or whatever you had. You know, 3-valve Mustangs were fun, and now everything's just gotten so outrageous. Anyway, I'm done reminiscing about the good old days and when you could afford to build a car. Let's go to O'Reilly's and continue building this car that is incredibly affordable and something you can do at home. Cool. Woohoo! It is raining. What's up? Well, I ordered everything for that car, last Friday, and then I went to Texas for a week, and all of that stuff got sent back to the hub, of course, because I didn't pick it up. So we're waiting another hour and 30 minutes for it all to come back here. So we're gonna go stay dry for a little bit and hopefully get something done on the car. I don't know what. Taking a quick look here to make sure I got all the stud placement right as we put all the final bolts in the coils. I mean, you guys know how I roll. I pretty much expect everything's gonna work first run out of the gate. And I have already determined that all these need to slide over by one. This one needs to go here, this one needs to go here, and okay, that's it. And then we got a couple more for the other side, and we'll have the covers lined out. And then I'm gonna grab the spark plug wires, we're gonna wire the thing. Alternator's going on right now. Spark plug wire time. As you guys know, my favorite spark plug wires are here. So, we got the Excel 9000 ceramics in black this time, which is gonna be pretty cool. Add a little bit of a menacing look, and they'll be kind of stealthy. Usually, I rock the white ceramic. I think this is the first pair of black I have. Look how great these are. Like, they don't pull apart when they're coming off the wire. It's just exactly what I want. I would say be careful with them on the glass, because ceramic and glass, they don't mix. That's looking good. We got to creep in here and get the Instagram shot for the Excel and MSD wires here. So let's hook the alternator up next and we'll get that little beautiful shot. There we go, one side done. I'm gonna throw the alternator in right now and we'll wrap up the other side. All the bolts are finally in, everything tightened down. We're getting close. Maybe in the next couple hours this thing will turn over and I'm getting excited. I didn't realize how close we were. Well. The ABS sensor has finally arrived. Let's get this thing open and then we're ready to stick it on the car. All right, here we are with the new wires for the factory ABS sensor. As you guys know, the old one was destroyed, like a wheel got into it. I don't know, but it, you know, obviously it ruined the weather pack connector that was on the end there, and it does need to work, so I don't have to deal with a bunch of lights on the dash. It literally just clips in right here, and then it clips in right here, and then it plugs in right here. So that's about all we had to do. I just have to get this off the clip and slide the other one on, plug it in. Ha! Got it out without breaking the Christmas tree. Slide in this one and it should lock in. Boom! Stick it back in the hole, plug everything in. Man, we were waiting on this part for so long. Plugging in the O2 sensors right now. I mean, we are home free on this build and I am super excited about it. I also just got a bunch of this good stuff. If you look up in here, I've got the grounds on there and anchored all the wiring harnesses, oil filter, oil temp and all that good stuff. Everything's hooked up. So now all that's left is throwing the accessory belt on. Well, I'm sure trying to get this belt in here and it's sure not cooperating, but we're gonna get it. All right, there it is. We got it around the balancer and now we're headed to the water pump. All right, if you would, just grab this wrench and just keep it as far tight as you can. Sorry, get my hand out of there. All right, I think I've got all the belt routing right. Let's go. Got it? Farther. It needs more, a little bit more, just a tad more, and then back off. It won't go very far. Nailed it. Ignition's wired up, the belt's on, all the grounds are on the engine. The O2s that matter are connected. Obviously, the exhaust isn't in there yet. It's probably one of the last things I'll do because we don't need it to start it. And we're just waiting on the gaskets for the AC system. They will be here in about 30 minutes. So, lunch break, and let's get back to it. And we're back. Time to grab some parts. Pizza, delicious. Here we go. Now it looks like we got some parts for a car. Sway bar and links, oil filter, AC kit. Now for the real question, how much oil drains out of the oil filter? Yeah, none. I honestly do think this is a new filter, but it's still coming off here in favor of our old Wix 51042 XP. Oh, I cleaned all this, huh? Color me impressed. There's even fresh oil in it. There we go. Give it a good kiss. In with the new filter and we can oil fill this thing as soon as we check the drain plug, which also looks good, and find out how many leaks we have, which hopefully is none. I truly hope it's not gonna leak. These sway bar end links, now that we know which direction they go, went very, very, very fast. We're talking like 30 seconds compared to the first round's much longer amount of time. So we now have, I don't know, 2 minutes in getting these off at the front. And installing the new ones. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. This went together so fast, and honestly, we haven't even needed to hold the new end links. They're just going right together with the ratchet wrench, so. Almost there. Well, we did end up having to hold these to do the final tighten, but we are just about there. The other side didn't need to be held. All right, so a couple more seconds and we can stick this back up in. I just wanted to get the sway bar done before the radiator went in, just to kind of make sure everything fits the way it needs to. So that's the only reason I actually did the sway bar right now. Also, I wanted this to be shiny by gouging it a little bit. New radiator. The C5 radiator for your automatic. If you need one of those, it's a, what are you? 432360 Murray. I mean, obviously O'Reilly's will be able to look that up because it's very common. So, here we go. This is a better radiator. The other one's a TYC. I'll take the Murray. Upgrades. Okay. Here we go. So what happens is when we do this, the condenser here slots into this. So we're gonna have to slide it underneath the condenser, which is gonna be a little bit of work, and then lift the condenser up and slot it in. So basically just work it down inside, just like so. And those holes down there at the bottom are what retain it, if you see those. Yeah, there's a bunch of junk in the way. Oh, you can pull that radiator hose back that's in your way. There you go, perfect, perfect. And then just keep rocking down. And I am somehow missing my hole there. And you're almost down to yours, I see. Radiator's in, condenser snapped into that. We started putting the AC lines on. Obviously we have all brand new O-rings for this car. It's the Murray 26728 kit. And we're replacing every single O-ring in the system. Anywhere it was opened up, at least. And time to stick the fans in and hook this up. Okay, we went through the two-man struggle getting the fans in. They went in from the bottom, which does work out pretty well. And now I'm tying up all the wires and hooking up the hoses, and we can fill this thing with coolant. Honestly, we'll probably wait for the coolant, but the main thing we needed to do was hit the radiator so the transmission cooler would be hooked up. So when it starts, it doesn't just spray transmission fluid everywhere, since there's no way to disengage that bad boy. So we're about there. That's all I can tell you. In we go with the special sauce. It is time to fill it with oil. Hopefully nothing leaks. That is really all I'm worried about here. As long as that secondary pan doesn't leak. Obviously the upper pan, I know that won't leak. And yes, we can fix the bottom of the batwing pan if there's a leak, but that's an original gasket. One of the few that didn't get changed in this build. So let's pour in the greatest of oils, because this car is mine. So it should take this whole thing. And then after it's done here, I'm about to just shove the whole thing in upside down. We're gonna put the battery in and crank it over for the first time. It's time. There's power. First time the power's been on this thing in a little while. And I don't expect it to run. I mean, I do expect it to run, but only a little bit. Obviously, the fuel injectors are twice the size that this engine's expecting. And the O2s are literally open to the air because it's open header. So obviously we got to start it open header. Every car guy knows that we've always started everything open header one time just for the laughs, if nothing else. Everything's plugged in, all the electronics that matter, except for the ones that don't, and I don't want, because obviously hooking up the MAF without the bridge would be detrimental. So this will let it run on its closed loop tune. No IAT, no wheel speed sensors. Everything else is hooked up. Injectors are way too big. It should start, but it's gonna be rough. And after that, we are kind of stuck until we get this thing tuned. So, here we go. What's up, guys? Mustang guy here. Oh, those videos were great back in the day. Anyway, I know everybody always freaks out when I just start engines, even though this is a used engine. So we pulled the injectors off. We're gonna go ahead and crank it for a few seconds to get some oil pressure, move a little bit of oil through this thing. Hopefully it cranks, hopefully everything works as expected. And we're gonna plug in the coils and see if she fires off. Obviously, like we've said, way too much fuel. It should run terribly. And hopefully by just a miracle, I can get a tuner to get in here and pull 50% of the fuel by tomorrow, which is gonna be tricky, but I think we have a local guy that can jump in HP tuners with me and redo that fuel table. In Holly, I have no problem with it, but in HP tuners, I'm not that great. All right, here we go. And I can't touch the brakes, obviously. Fuel pump. You see any leaks around the intake? Any fuel dripping, anything? And it doesn't look like it is. Okay. Here we go. Few cranks just for oil. This thing's gonna be healthy. All right, plugging in the coils. The moment everyone's been waiting for, the $3,500 Corvette starting up. Please start! Please start! I'm gonna be so pumped.
Yeah, because our battery's about to die.
Here we go. It is It is not happy. It may not run at all like this. There's a good chance it will not run.
Ooh.
All right.
Buddy.
All right, that's all we're running. I forgot it had a huge, nasty cam too. There's no way it's gonna run right because, like, it is way off with that giant cam in there. So, it would have been cool if we knew some specs on that cam, but we don't. So, we're gonna try to figure this out tomorrow. Fuel, obviously it runs. Fuel and some timing issues. It probably needs the timing sorted out a little bit too, because obviously it wanted to run, but it just didn't do it. So, whew, I'm so pumped, so pumped. And you know, I guess everything's okay. We need to get HP tuners on it and fix the fuel table because it's just way too much, out of control fuel. Again, we went from 26-pound Corvette injectors to 41-pound Volvo injectors because they plug in, and obviously that's about double the fuel, which is too much for this car. Too much. But let's do it. Jack it up. Leak check. We are so close to the finish line. That is all I needed to do today. Obviously, I just wanted to start it and make sure everything was hooked up to the radiator first, so we didn't end up with fluid all over the ground, which we don't have. There is no leak. There's no oil leaks. I mean, this is great news. We're gonna get this thing on the ground, use a floor jack to put the knuckles back together here because we tried to do it in the air and the car was sliding around a little bit, so I backed off that. And obviously we gotta put the brakes back on. Sway bar and links are on, new shocks are on. Everything's new, and I'm so excited about this car now. We're gonna get it back down on the ground, and that's it for today. It's wrapped for today. Hopefully tomorrow we can get the wheels on. Not the C8 wheels yet, because that's a whole day of machining. We're gonna put those in a giant lathe and turn the insides of them so they'll fit on the concentric rings. It sounded insane, open header, unbelievable. I know it won't come across on camera, but it was so loud in here. Awesome. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. Woo! Yeah! It's so close. I mean, just wrap up the suspension and put all the bolts back in the fender over there that I took out for the ECU and tune it. So I gotta go find my HP tuners dongle. That's the real thing we're gonna do here. I think it's at my house. I think the laptop's there too.